Do you ever miss the pointlessness of collecting Panini sticker albums, stopping at nothing until your parents are financially bankrupt, frantically screaming in your schoolyard about that missing Pokemon or Disney character or Fortnite skin or whatever else was the absolutest, peakest viral cultural phenomenon at the time? What if you could get all of that back and more, neatly packed in a creature-taming shell, sure to bring you back to the good old vibes? Welcome to Patch Quest. Patch Quest is a roguelite exploration, bullet hell, collectathon game where you play the role of an explorer trying to make sense of this ancient, ever-changing, fragmented land, collecting and taming everything in sight. Armed with a simple blaster, you'll bravely face off against the wild unknowns, scouring literally the four corners of the world, uncovering secrets as you climb the highest mountain and dive to the deepest cave. Gameplay is surprisingly diverse and varied, given the reasonably simple mechanics you'll interface with. Your tools consist of firing your blaster and using your lasso to tame monsters. The blaster can be upgraded using different fruits that serve as special limited ammo, and that's mostly it for the base character. As you lasso monsters, you'll tame and ride them around. Each monster shares a similar base moveset, one defensive ability, two offensive or utility ones, and an ultimate that can be used once per battle. This is the meat of the game, and is where the developer just let their creative juices go wild. Defensive skills alone come in a slew of different flavors: movement, shields, invisibility, armored charge attacks, you name it. And this extends to the different skill categories, which all comes together to make monsters feel very unique and like they actually have a place in the world. There are over 70 monsters to tame and collect, and it is great to constantly jump around and experiment. But this is only half of the story. The environment itself also plays a huge role in adding variety to the mix. Not only is everything collectible as little stamps, which is part of the collectathon appeal and will undoubtedly keep you busy for some time, but there's also an immense variety of hazards and beneficial terrains that will keep you on your toes when tackling different zones. The game oozes care and attention to detail in pretty much every facet. Different habitats feel distinct at many levels. You have the different monsters that inhabit them, but the diversity extends to their hazards and how it feels to navigate. From the volcano's literal flores lava as you zigzag around as if climbing the side of a mountain, to the back and forth exploration of the ocean as if diving and scouring multiple underwater mysterious caves that make everything sluggish, slowing projectiles and distorting sounds, to the dangerous prehistoric hunting grounds where you'll be constantly ambushed by thrashing T-Rexes. Most of these are unique mechanics that, even if you don't consciously notice, will surely make your progression feel varied. Monsters themselves are flavorful and expressive in subtle ways in how their simple moveset is constructed. While getting cornered is usually a bad idea, spiders thrive on that environment just like they do in the corner of your home. This isn't explicit, as you don't gain any corner bonuses or anything, but their abilities just encourage that behavior. Turtles have upward moving attacks that encourage you to stay below enemies, which is just as you'd expect given the shell covering their upper bodies. And I could keep going. It is such a joy to behold and experience. In terms of meta progression, you level up only as you collect new stuff, which directly encourages exploration over raw combat prowess. The upgrades are unique and aren't ever simple power boosts. From your lasso blocking shots to combining multiple ammo types into one, the list just goes on and on. As for longevity, I finished every quest and finished the game's true ending, which took me around 23 hours. I also tamed every monster bar one, which I don't really know where to find to be honest, and I'm still missing a huge amount of collectibles. Even if you do collect everything, there's an added layer, as every collectible can come in a rare, shiny variety. I'm pretty sure if you wanted to collect everything as a shiny, it could easily take you hundreds of hours, while just beating the game for the first time can probably be achieved in like 5 hours maybe? Now, for the not so good. I really dislike the DLC that comes in the form of an explorer's guide, which in this case is nothing more than added notes on the different monsters and their locations and the habitats. I didn't get it, so I can't attest to how important it is, but it really rubs me the wrong way that the game all around exploring and being observant, playing the role of a brave explorer, has a separate purchase that, in one hand, completely negates every sort of player interaction. You have everything there laid out in front of you, while on the other hand, just makes your character feel dumb and useless. Like, can't they take their own notes? It just feels so weird. And this is compounded by the UI of the main game not being flawless and not providing you with all the information you need at times. As far as I'm aware, there's not a good way of checking if you've already mounted a certain monster or if you have already sent it back as a pet to your base. Given there are many different variations of the same monster, it can be easy to get a bit lost in that regard, so I would have liked some more attention to that rather than spending effort in releasing a separate DLC. Business practices aside, which clearly strike a nerve with me, I do think the game scales your power a tad too much as you level up. Like I said earlier, the upgrades are very interesting and unique, but making every monster on screen flee in terror as you mount a new one completely negates every form of direct combat from that point onward, for example. This on the one hand is good as it opens the door to new playstyles, but it feels just a tad overtuned. And the same argument could very well be made for a couple of other upgrades as well. And so as you compound more and more and more and more on top of each other, it eventually can end up trivializing the experience a bit. You can both increase the difficulty at any point, as well as manually disabling upgrades, but in general I tend to see such mechanics more as post-game added challenges, rather than you need to gimp yourself early as to not steamroll through the entire thing. Granted, this is more of a personal gripe and not so much the game did this wrong, but I still thought to bring it up. And that's it. If you want to get lost in a playground island filled to the brim with stuff and stuff and stuff to gather and collect, give Patch Quest a try. See ya!